الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستنصره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله سبحانه وتعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له قيوم السماوات والأرض نشهده شهادة الحق شهادة تطهر قلوبنا من الفسق والعصيان وشهادة تنجي قائلها من عذاب أليم وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا وإمامنا وقدوتنا في الأمور كلها محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه الذي بعثه رحمة للعالمين ليخرج البشرية جمعاء من ظلمات الكفر والضلال إلى نور الإيمان والهدى صلوات الله وسلامه دائمين متلازمين عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الكرام وكل مسلم تبع هداه واستمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد فيا إخواني الكرام عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بالتقوى فقد فاز المتقون قال الله تعالى وصانا وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولي الألباب ثم قال يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. معاشر المسلمين ورحمكم الله, respected brothers and sisters, in the beginning we praise Allah who is worthy to be praised, who is the creator of the heavens and the earth, who guides us always inshallah ta'ala and bless us to be here among these gatherings. May Allah bless our gatherings. Amen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in our hearts and our minds tawfiq so that we can be among those who are thankful always. Shakirin. Not many people can be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَلِيلٌ مِنْ عِبَادِيَ الشُّكُرِ. May Allah give us an opportunity to thank Him. Brothers and sisters, the topic that I'm going to talk about has been spoken by many, I'm sure. Because this issue is a core part of the issues among many challenges we're facing at the moment. A lot of voices have been expressed, so let me add my voice into those voices. The issue of Jerusalem. There are many people around claim that they had connection with Jerusalem because of the generational connection. Because the prophets that they believe belong to this area. So let me begin by saying, if that is the claim, then Muslims are not less than anybody else. When you talk about historical connection, and some people are so proud of historical connection that they've been there for 3,000 years, we Muslims are no less. Because our connection to the land, our connection to this holy city have been since the beginning of the prophethood. The beginning of that journey was when Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam migrated from Babylon to Jerusalem with his beloved wife. Down to many other prophets. You know, in the history, I'm not talking about religion, let's say keep aside at the moment about the religion. We know in the history that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam came to the area, to the Holy Land. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then blessed him with the first son, Ismail. Then Allah decided Ismail must be brought somewhere else to another Holy Land that have a very deep connection. The Holy Land in Jerusalem and the Holy Land in Makkah. Ismail was brought there. Later on, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was given another blessing with another son, Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. From Ishaq came down to many, many prophets. Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam with his 12 sons, including Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, then later on brought to Egypt. After generations, they tried to come back again. Musa, to Musa والسلام, and Harun, to that holy land. We know that later on, Dawood, Sulaiman, even for us, Muslims, we believe deeply that after Dawood and Sulaiman, there are some other prophets that we have a very strong relations. And that is Yahya, for example, Zakaria. Then you have no less Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. So when the people claim that they have connection because of this historical connection, we Muslims are even more relation with that. Because some group of people, they don't believe in Yahya, they don't believe in Isa. Well, we Muslims believe in Isa. And Isa, Yahya was born there. So historically speaking, we have even deeper connection to Jerusalem. Historically. But it's not my point here today, my brothers and sisters. For us Muslims, our connection with Jerusalem is not racial, not ethnic, not only historical. I'm an Indonesian, but I'm no less in love with Jerusalem than Palestinian and Arabs. It's not about race and ethnicity. It is about Iman connection, my brothers and sisters. Pakistanis, you're Pakistanis, but I'm sure that Muslims love Jerusalem because of that Iman. You're Indian, if you're Muslims, you love that place because of your Iman. You are Africans, it's not because of race, you love that place because of your Iman. So our connection with Jerusalem is Iman connection. It's a faith connection. Brothers and sisters, this is the place where Rasulullah was taken up to the heaven. From Al-Masjid al-Haram into the Masjid al-Aqsa, then he was ascended up to the heaven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Technically speaking, from our rational judgment as a human being, our scholars say that the center of the heaven is a Baytul Ma'mur, and the center of the earth is a Makkah al-Mukarram, Masjid al-Haram. It is supposedly, according to our minds as human beings, easier that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ were to be taken from Makkah directly up to the heaven. But the question is, why then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him from Masjid al-Haram into al-Masjid al-Aqsa, then from Masjid al-Aqsa into the heaven? Because the Iman connection between Makkah and Jerusalem, that no one can disconnect it. Brothers, let me just say, this connection, Iman connection, will never, forever, be disconnected by political announcements in 11 minutes. In 11 minutes. Cannot forever. Makkah and Jerusalem are two cities that are connected and will never forever be disconnected by anybody. That's why Rasulullah ﷺ was taken from Makkah to Jerusalem, and then Jerusalem up to the heaven to receive the command of salawat. Rasulullah ﷺ later on, he mentioned that in the hadith, when he says, لا تشد الرحال إلا لثلاثة مساجد. There is no intended travel for ibadah except to three places. To three masajid. Al-Masjid al-Haram in Makkah al-Mukarramah, Al-Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina al-Munawwarah, and then Al-Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. That is the translation of religious and faith, Iman connection between Makkah, Medina, and Jerusalem. And again, no one with his own will disconnect between this connection, because this is the connection of Iman, my brothers and sisters. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as you know, passed away. Then later on, the Muslim world was expanded. After the Battle of Yarmouk in Sham, in Syria, Dimashq fell into the hands of the Muslims under the commander of Khalid bin Walid, as you may know in the history. And then Rasulullah and his Sahaba, sometime, in order to educate, kind of tarbiyah, called the Arab tarbiyah, in order to educate the Sahaba, Rasulullah did it through action. Umar radiallahu anhu also, as a Khalifa at the time, wanted to educate Khalid bin Walid. Because Khalid succeeded all battles, never been defeated. So Umar wanted to educate him, wanted to remind him, not only by advice, but through action. What he did, he fired him from a commander of the Muslim army. So when Khalid ibn Walid was fired by Umar ibn Khattab, Ubaidullah ibn Jarrah became the commander of the Muslim. And under Ubaidullah ibn Jarrah, Jerusalem was besieged by the Muslim army. And Jerusalem was under Roman power at that time. After some time, the governor of Jerusalem gave up. But as you may know, that Jerusalem was surrounded by walls built by Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam. There's a special key called the key of the city that you cannot enter without the key. And the governor said to the commander Ubaydullah ibn Jarrah, unless your own king come and receive you, I'm not going to give you. So finally Ubaydullah ibn Jarrah sent a news to Medina, to the Khalifa. Let me use the word king or president of the Muslims. That the king must come himself to Jerusalem to receive the key. Umar Allahu anhu consulted all seniors of the Sahaba. And all seniors of the Sahaba said to him, if anyone call you to any other city, we will not allow you to go. But for Jerusalem, you have to go. So Umar Allahu anhu decided to go with one friend, one servant. And he has an agreement that during the journey, he and his servant is going to exchange who is going to ride the camel. So what happened, to make the story short, at the end of the journey before entering into the city, the servants turned to ride the camel. And Umar must, as king. You know, remember brothers, it's not only king within Saudi Arabia, it's king from Medina to Jerusalem. You can imagine how powerful he was. And he was pulling the camel and his servant was riding. And the servant said to him, Ya Umar, please, let me pull the camel and you ride, because the governor is going to see you walking on and pulling the camel. We don't want this to happen. And Umar said, no, agreement is agreement. And he pulled the camel, his shirt full of dusty. And he almost entered into the city. Ubaydullah ibn Jarrah went out to the end of the city to receive his king. When he saw Umar full of dust, he said to him, Ya Umar, the governor, the Roman ruler, are going to receive us. We'd like you to change your clothing. They prepare for us a very fancy clothes if you want. Umar was a very genuine person. He spoke his mind and his heart. He is not a superficial person. He spoke his mind and his heart. What he said to Abu Ubaidah, I wish that this thing that didn't come from your mouth. He was so angry. And he said to him, and this is recorded by the history, we are the people that have been humiliated in the past. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in Arabic, لَقَدْ أَعَزَّنَا اللَّهُ بِالْإِسْلَامِ. Allah then respected us. Allah then honored us. Allah then dignified us with this deen, al-Islam. فَإِنِ ابْتَغَيْنَا الْعِزَّةَ بِدُونِهِ. And if we try to find izzah, honor, dignity without al-Islam, أَذَلَّنَا اللَّهُ. Allah will humiliate us once again. That's what he said to his commander. So finally Umar entered into the city and the governor gave him the key. Hear the story that I'll mention to you, my brothers and sisters. He was taken around the city, we call that in modern term for inspection. So he went around the city. The first one, he went to the place where Masjid al-Aqsa used to be built. And he saw that spot had been full of garbage by the Roman people, by the Roman power. So Umar Allahu anhu directly cleaned it, and all the Muslim armies and the commander cleaned the place. And since then, Umar announced to build the largest ever masjid, the Masjid al-Aqsa, can accommodate up to 3,000 people at a time. 623 AD. After that, Umar was taken into a church. The church is still there now. He was taken into a church, it's called Skapa. In Arabic language, it's called Kanisatul Qiyamah, the church of Qiyamah. And he was taken inside of the church, and while he was inside of the church, Azanul Zuhur was called. So the religious leaders knew that Umar must pray, and they offered him to pray inside of the church. What happened? Umar rejected it. Not for religious reason, my brothers and sisters. We have some Muslim community pray in the church during the Jum'ah. Because we don't have space, we rent from the church space. There is no religious reason. It is not about haram to pray in any hall as long as there is no idols inside of the church. Umar rejected it. Later on we found that the reason why he didn't pray in that church because he did not want to give an impression, an assumption that the church had been taken over by Umar and now that church had become a masjid.
That is his intention. So what he did, he went out and he prayed outside. There is a spot, and now there is what's called Masjid Umar. Brothers, our Islam have been accused intolerant religion. Our Muslim brothers, we have been accused of not tolerant people. Who is tolerant here? When Umar did not want to pray inside because he didn't want to give the impression that the church had been taken over, who is tolerant? After that, my brothers and sisters, Umar went somewhere else for inspection. And he found, it's a very serious issue, he found that the place where the Jewish people used to worship, full of garbage, just like Masjid al-Aqsa. Because the Romans, it's full of garbage, a place for garbage and trashes. Umar Allahu anhu was angry, and he said to the religious leaders, please do clean it. And after they clean it, Umar Allahu anhu then announced, then from today on, from now on, the Jewish people have the right to come back to Jerusalem to worship. Who allowed the Jewish people to come back after they were expelled by the Romans outside of Jerusalem? Umar Allahu anhu, my brothers and sisters. Umar, we know in the history, is a very strong man in his deen, but he was the one who announced to the Jewish people to come back to worship in Jerusalem. So when you talk about religious connection, my brothers, this is Iman connection. From Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, our relation with the Prophet is not historical relation, it's Iman connection. We love Ibrahim not because we are Iraqis or Babylonians. No, we love him because he's the Prophet of Allah, Iman connection. We love Yaqub, we love Ishaq, we love Ismail. Even we love Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam not because of racial, ethnic connection, because Iman connection. So our connection to Jerusalem is very clear. It is not historical, it is not racial, it is not ethnic, it is not national. You love Jerusalem not only because you are Palestinian or Arabs. You love Jerusalem because you are Muslims. If anyone has this love, I think you have to study more about what does it mean to be a Muslim. Brothers and sisters, then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I mentioned the hadith, said as a confirmation that لا تشد الرحال إلا لثلاثة مساجد. But coming back to the issue of Jerusalem, when we talk about this issue, my brothers and sisters, not only from religious perspective, but also from humanitarian perspective, we Muslims do believe that the foundation of our faith is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. But let me just tell you this one that many of us don't think about. Sometimes when you say La ilaha illallah means to believe in one Allah, one God. But what is the consequence of believing in one Allah? What does it mean for us to believe? It means that we have to take out every single thing that enslaves you. It means we are free fully from anything, from any enslavement, from any slavery, but towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means what? Freedom. So the essence of La ilaha illallah is what? Freedom. We are not to be enslaved by anybody, including by our own desire and ego, but only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the meaning of La ilaha illallah. Now when you come to this issue, my brothers, this is the most essential issue of humanity. America is so proud of, not only considering that this America is a free country, but America had gone to many places with the claim to free nations. But why then when we come to the issue of Palestinian brothers and sisters, we don't care about their freedom? They deserve freedom. They deserve independence. So if you're proud of freedom and independence, why then we don't talk about Palestinian brothers and sisters? This humanitarian issue. But coming back to America, being Muslims in America, American Muslims, or Muslim Americans, this is an American issue. It's about honesty. It's a deep honesty. What does it mean for me to be an American? I'm proud of so-called American values. We in America have freedom, we have equal rights, we have justice for all. That is the constitutions that we're proud of, and of course we must be proud of. But brothers and sisters, I hope then, we hope that this is not only a claim. We hope that this must be for everyone else. When you say justice for all, hopefully it's not only justice for Americans, but for every human beings on this planet. So if we are proud of justice, if we are proud of equality, if we are proud of freedom here in this country, then this country, if it wants to be considered the greatest nation on earth, then America must see the Palestinian brothers and sisters have the right to be treated equally. What so-called unilateral announcements? An announcement without consulting the other party. Brothers, when you have conflict, it means two parties. There is one and second parties. And now you come and you announced without consulting the other party, without taking agreement of other party. Do you consider that justice? No. While we are claiming to be, we are proud of justice for all, but we do that unjustly, I'm sorry to say this might be a hypocrisy. And that's why, my brothers and sisters, we have to learn how to be honest to ourselves, being Muslims, being human being American as well. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله وأستغفر لعلها ساعة الإجابة. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله لا نبي بعده صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. And so, brothers and sisters, if you remember the history of the United States of America in connection to the conflict in the Middle East, Palestinian and Israelis, there have been many presidents who attempted to be so-called mediator. From President Jimmy Carter down to President Bush and Clinton and Barack Obama. But none of those had ever unilaterally decided that this Jerusalem belonged to any side. Do you know why? Because if they do that, there is a clear betrayal, number one, to American values, as I mentioned earlier. Number two, to resolutions that had been agreed by all nations at the United Nations. Both in the General Assembly, the gathering of 198 countries, with an exception of few. Similarly, just last week, only 9 countries support the decision of the United States. Others are opposing. That had been in the history of the United Nations, both in General Assembly, but also at the Security Council. Resolutions have been taken that this place, particularly East Jerusalem, belongs to Palestine. Belongs to Palestine. All presidents of the United States knew that. That's why they didn't take any unilateral decision until the current president is coming. I don't know if he doesn't know. I don't know if he doesn't care. I don't know if he did it intentionally. I don't know. Allah knows, and His own mind. But the fact is, none of those presidents have ever decided that place, that holy city, belonged to Israel, because they knew there is an international law, the United Nations resolutions, that this Jerusalem belonged to Palestine. Even in the attempt to make a peace between two nations, let's say, between Israel and Palestine, the last issue will be discussed, will be the issue of this. Do you know why, brothers and sisters? Because this is the most critical one and the most sensitive issue. I know, for those of us who are engaged in an interfaith dialogue, including the Jewish community, we know that the Jewish community had that sentiment as well. But I'm not going to talk about that. My point is that it is simply wrong, it is a betrayal, it is not acceptable, both, I think, to the American original people and also to the international law. So again, because of the time, we just pray that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give freedom to our Palestinian brothers and sisters, may Jerusalem to be freed, and may to be given back to our Palestinian brothers, and never be taken away, by the way. So we pray, Allahumma ameen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yu'afi wa kafi mazida. اللهم ربنا لك الحمد ولك الشكر كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم اعز الاسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر الاسلام والمسلمين، اللهم حرر المسجد الاقصى، اللهم حرر القدس، اللهم حرر فلسطين يا الله يا ارحم الراحمين، اللهم انصر كل عبادك المستضعفين في كل مكان. ربنا اتنا من لدنك رحمه وهيئ لنا من امرنا رشدا. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار. وسبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون
وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.